Germany arrests 25 accused of plotting coup. All right. So let's talk about the far right in Germany, okay? I'm gonna hit you guys in on a secret, okay? Germany has done a really, really, really good job for the most part with internal denazification. Like in terms of its laws and its culture, Germans are just not, for the most part, an effort has been made. There is a big exception to this, though, and that would be in exactly the kinds of groups that you think would be more disposed towards Nazism, namely the police and to the military. There have been so many stories of like far right militia groups filled up with veterans or police members. I remember when I covered this during the Halo 2 or the Halo fundraising stream, there were people saying that there were consistent problems with guns going missing from armories with police and military units, and then they would like be found later at far right like militia groups. So basically, like there are people in the military feeding weaponry to like militia groups. Um, Now, obviously, you would think the vast majority of these militias would be like Nazi ones, right? And they are. But the funny thing is, the group that got arrested, the Reichsbürger movement, is technically not. They're a German monarchist group. A group of far right and ex military figures are said to have prepared for a day X to storm the Reichstag parliament building and seize power. A man named as Heinrich the 13th from an old aristocratic family, by old they mean the 13th century, by the way, is alleged to have been central to their plans. He's one of two alleged ringleaders. The plotters are said to have included members of the extremist Reichsbürger, citizens of the Reich movement, which have long been in the sights of German police over violent attacks and racism and anti Semitic conspiracy theories. They refuse to recognize the modern German state. Apparently, this specific group wanted to. Basically, they were Kaiserists. Yeah, they wanted to bring the Kaiser back, and they wanted to reestablish like pre-World War I German borders or something. Like we're like they were truly like phenomenal. Yeah, very, very, very much like Hearts of Iron 4 tier brain rot here. Monarchists supported Nazis? Oh, of course they did. Of course the monarchists supported Nazis. But these guys go back further. I mean, like it's not just the Nazi group. Like they want to go ideologically prior to that point, which is very, very, very funny. Yeah, people have compared them to like German sovereign citizens. Like they don't recognize the modern state. You know, they want to like appeal to some kind of like legal magic that pulls us back in time to a point they want, which is invariably a bad point. Just truly wacky stuff. Vaush, careful, many Reichsbürger are genuine Nazis who want the German Reich. Well, yeah, they're called the Reichsbürger. I'm just saying, they are Nazis. I'm just saying that it goes even beyond, okay? It's Nazis 2.0. Reestablish the pre-World War I borders here. Hold on. An estimated 50 men and women, they let women in, that's progressive, are said to have been part of the group, which allegedly plotted to overthrow the Republic and replace it with a new state modeled on the Germany of 1871, an empire called the Second Reich. See, remember? Germany did the Third Reich, so it's the Second Reich. We don't yet have a name for this group, said a spokeswoman for the Federal Prosecutor's Office. The Interior Ministry said it was apparently made up of an organization council and a military arm. Wednesday's dawn raids are being described as one of the biggest anti-extremist operations in modern German history. 3,000 officers took part in 150 operations in 11 of Germany's 16 states, with 2 people arrested in Austria and Italy. They went international with this. Very impressive. Almost half of the arrests took place in southern states of Baden-Württemberg and Bavaria. More than 1 in 5 Reichsbürger are thought to be based in the southwestern state of Baden-Württemberg alone, so on and so forth. Planning a violent coup, wacky guys allegedly plan to abduct Health Minister Karl Lauterbach while creating civil war conditions. A former far-right AfD member of the lower house of parliament, the Bundestag, is suspected of being part of the plot. Read the description of what? Of what? AfD? I read that. It's always the South, isn't it? Not always. Read Who Are the Weichberger? Wait, can we read that? Oh, here. This? Yeah. So-called citizens of the Reich reject Germany's modern democracy and refuse to pay taxes. Once seen as harmless cranks, big mistake, they are very active and pose a high level of danger, says BFV intelligence chief Thomas Haldenwang. Last year, they numbered some 21,000, but they've since grown significantly. 10% are thought to be violent, and anti Semitism and conspiracy theories are widespread. Well, I would say all of them are violent, then, actually. How could they possibly imagine they could pull this off? Well, a proximity to reality is not really a con attribute of you know Reich supremacists. They tend to be a little wacky. Makes me wonder how much that shit's happening here. Oh, plenty. There are plenty of far right militias in Germany and America. The only real difference between them, I suppose, is that the ones in Germany probably have a more direct connection to Nazism as a political movement, whereas the far right militias here in America are more like sort of Nazi adjacent, like QAnon types or sovereign citizens, where their politics typically align, but they're not specifically idealizing Hitler, except for those who do specifically idealize Hitler, of which I'm sure there are quite a few. They were made up of active and former members of the military, officials believe, and included ex-elite soldiers from special units. The aim of the military arm was to eliminate democratic bodies at the local level, prosecutors said. Rüdiger von P. is suspected of trying to recruit police officers in northern Germany and of having an eye on army barracks, too. Based in the states of Hesse, Baden-Württemberg, and Bavaria were all inspected for possible use after the government was overthrown. Good luck with that. The Reichsbürger movement is estimated to have as many 21,000 followers, of whom around 5% are considered to belong to the extreme right. Okay, quick question. How can any group of people that belong to a movement that want to establish the 1871 German border, they should all be extreme right? What is a moderate Reichsbürger member? Like, what was, like the moderate far right monarchist? Yeah, I don't know about that one. Yeah, it feels pretty wacky in my humble opinion. Where is that? Hold on. I feel like this actually ties into something else that I was looking at recently. We went over that recent attack on the power station that was done in, I think, North Carolina, where there was a drag show and there were some far right terrorists who shot up the power station as a way of taking power away from the town. But where's that? Where's that? I feel like as long as we're talking about insurrectionary efforts, this is as good of a time as any to talk about this. At least 4 electric substations in the region have been attacked, at least 2 by people with firearms since late November, emails obtained by OPB and KUOW Public Radio Show. This is in the Pacific Northwest, which is, a place where I live, which is a bit concerning. The electrical grid has been physically attacked at least 6 times in Oregon and Western Washington since mid-November, causing growing alarm for law enforcement as well as utilities responsible for parts of the region's critical infrastructure. So, the again, we're sort of like ascribing intent a little bit here, but it has been said by people who know more about this than myself that if there ever was some kind of big uprising from far right militias, one of the first things they would do would be to target local substations as a way of cutting power in rural and urban areas. Therefore, essentially putting them in the dark, after which they can conduct assassinations with relative impunity. It's obviously a lot more difficult to fully take out power in a major city because there are multiple substations and backups and, the ways of keeping things together. But substations are very, very vulnerable soft targets. And, obviously this far right coup attempt in Germany wasn't going to, wasn't going to succeed. But if it was to take place, that is probably one of the ways they would go about it. The HS warns right-wing extremists could attack power grid. Oh yeah, they are pretty easy to attack. Was it ever confirmed the shooting at the power station had any connection to the drag show? I don't know if they found those responsible. It's pretty difficult to do that. Florida was hit too. It's happening a lot lately. A little bit concerning. Report shows intrusions at Duke Energy power stations in Tampa Bay, elsewhere in Florida. The sheriff of the first station was revealed to be an open white nationalist. The sheriff that we saw in that the public briefing in North Carolina, that one. Tens of thousands still in the dark after targeted attacks. Moore County Sheriff Ronnie Field says deputies have determined. Emily Rainey photo of sheriff mid North Carolina outage raises questions. Photos of a North Carolina sheriff with Emily Rainey, a Jan 6 protester, has surfaced on social media after he said deputies had determined her posts about mass power outages in the state were false. So Emily Rainey, that the Jan 6 protester and the person who initially drew the link between the power outages after the Transformers were shot and the drag show, the sheriff rushed to say that her post was false, but apparently they knew each other. Ooh. Look at this. These people are penetration testers breaking into our substation super easy. I mean, you can't really protect a substation, right? A lot of that shit is open air. You just shoot at it. It's not. Why is it possible to shoot a substation to death? Well, because you can't really not. I think the only way to prevent that from being possible would be to build literally everything underground or in bunkers or something. And you'd have to do all the lines underground too. And that would massively increase the cost of maintenance and construction and stuff. No, underground power lines are good, but they're definitely like an expense, you know? I don't know, yeah. Build a wall around it? I mean, I guess you could build a wall around it. Couldn't you just put anti-ballistic armor over the crucial parts? You've seen a power station, right? Just kind of climb the wall and shoot, I think. I mean, yeah, you've seen what these look like, right? I think power substations are typically built in the open air for construction and maintenance purposes, right? Like, if anything goes wrong, you want to have stuff to be you want stuff to be open air so it's easy to look at, to repair, to address. In terms of like what the vulnerable parts are, well, a lot of it is, you know. I don't know. I'm sure some can be done, but you know, only so much, I think. The air is part of the system. It cools the lines. Yeah, yeah, true. You need the air to help dissipate heat. I don't understand what purpose does the far right have knocking out power? Civil instability. They can carry out assassinations without cameras being active. That kind of stuff. Most people don't have backup generators to power their security cameras and the like. Also, makes it real difficult for the police to, you know, get their work done. Most critical buildings like police stations and stuff are going to have their own backup power, but you know, it makes it that much more difficult to call them. If local lines are down, it can be really difficult to contact. Are locals doing it or people out of town? People out of town. Overwhelmingly, when stuff like this happens, it's people in rural areas and far right militias who move in on other areas to do that. Oh yeah, Jesus Christ, this is what he looks like. North Carolina sheriff rules out right-wing activist as suspect in power outage after praying with her. Okay, so he's actively like friends with the girl who went on social media and said, "Yeah, the power got taken out because of drag queens or whatever." Don't know if I trust them. Not to be rude, but why does he look like that? Phrenology, which is real and true. They are probably locals too. There's a far-right training camp very close by too. Oh, dope. Something that's being looked at in Moore County incident. Rainey is an 84 brag Army captain. She was at the 4th Psychological Operations Group. Also, I'm out of this headline shit. Eh. All right, well, listen. The moral of this story is that Germans are funny. Hedo hordy hoyo. That's their little German noises. Herpen derpen. That's what, Swiss? I don't know. We can't actually make fun of them too much. They're QAnon influenced, apparently, which means that this is an American export again. As is always the case, America has a hand in the development of pretty much all fascist movements abroad. So, you know, yeah. Oh, yeah, somebody linked this. Hold on. Thread, I see many of those don't live in Germany, are not aware of the Reichsbürger far-right movement, as its members were arrested today for the alleged preparation of a coup. The Reichsbürger believes that the modern German state, the Federal Republic of Germany, is a fake. They believe that it is not a state, but a private company. They have many explanations for that, but I don't want to go into details. Important is that as they think Germany is a private company founded in 1949 by the Allies, no state power comes from it. Man, really is sovereign citizen stuff. No taxes, no police, no laws, nothing. The real German state for them is the German Reich, which they believe still exists legally but without institutions. So they form these provisional institutions. They even institute Reich passports and try to travel with them abroad. form governments, parliaments, etc. as provisional institutions, and dream about the restoration of the real Reich. You would say these people are crazy, but they're pretty numerous and active. The German intelligence service BFV names them regularly in its annual report as one of the biggest threats to German democracy. The BFV even has a separate page on them. What's important, many members of the Reichsbürger are former policemen, army officers, or other state servants. I've not read any explanation for that. My bold guess is that this conspiracy theory is very German in how legalistic it is. For example, it explains the fake status of the German state with the help of a resolution from the UN General Assembly, with articles of the German Basic Law, how the process of how the German Basic Law was adopted. It is legalistic diarrhea and very German. So it's not a surprise those who used to work within the German state and love the law labyrinth catch this bait because it is their passion. Yeah, they seem bad. Do they not realize countries are social constructs? They're crazy.